Culture. Every place has their own. It's the way of how we live life. But what happens when someone takes over this? What happens when other big cultures grab the concept from another and make them as their own? If you want to know more, stay and make yourself comfortable. That this is culturalness. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Culturalness, the podcast where we want to teach about culture problems. Today, we are going to learn about cultural appropriation in different topics like art, religion, fashion, etc. My name is Israel, and now for start, let me introduce my team.
Well, my name is Andrea.
My name is Valeria.
My name is Omar.
My name is Adrian.
And we are going to start. But first, what is cultural appropriation? Well, this concept is not something new. When we speak about the appropriation of the culture, we are speaking about the act of taking over. This normally happens when a dominant group and his members begin to adopt behaviors from smaller groups. All good with that, but the problem is when these aspects are not represented in the correct way, normally in a disrespectful or stereotypical way, pulling away the original meaning that these elements have. This occurs with almost everything: art, traditions, fashion, and many others. Well, why we don't start speaking about the areas, starting with fashion. For cultures, including the small ones, the way they dress has always been a characteristic element. Some of them even have meanings. We could say that those who contribute most to the appropriation of cultures are the same industries and fashion brands. Every year, this kind of industries makes use of these elements for commercial purpose. There are many situations about this. Take for example the case of Isabel Marant in 2015, who was accused of the commercialization of vestments with mixed cultural elements. More specific, use of some embodiment patterns. The mixed community didn't take this well, and consequently is forced to remove the garments. This served to invite designers to get to know these cultures better and make a representation appropriate.
Well, now I'm going to talk about hairstyles, makeup, and body modification. But first, how does this affect? Well, we need to know that other cultures are not accessories. Every part of a culture is important to the persons that live in that culture. And I think that everyone and everybody needs to know that. So yeah, about the hairstyles. One of the most popular examples are the box braid or the Ghana braids. And a lot of people think that this isn't a cultural appropriation, but obviously it is. That's a really important hairstyle and it represents their culture. Also, if you're not black, that hairstyle will affect you. You can have headaches, hair loss, just because the Caucasian or white hair is more thin and the black hair is more thick. So this really has troubles. Well, other thing is the makeup. One that lately has more attention is it's make blackface. And this started in USA in 1980s, I think, when Americans didn't want to give black person a job, so they paint their face with black paint to pretend being black, but not in a good way. They make fun of them. These are really bad. Also, something that has been well known lately is the Asian fashion. This is kind of the same, but with makeup, people tries to make their eyes look like Asian and tries to line their skin. and sometimes they act like them. Obviously, this is so offensive. Other things are the body modification, sorry. For example, tattoos that represent something in other culture or that are offensive. For example, a lot of people has tattooed the rising sun flag. This is the flag that Japan used in the World War II, and a lot of people use it as an aesthetic. But this flag mean a genocide. I mean, this flag means that Japan killed a lot of people, mostly Korean people, and obviously it's pretty offensive to the Korean people, and this is something that Japan's are proud of it. Okay, yeah. Also, if you make persons that are part of some culture, for example, there is a nose piercing that it's really big. This is used in Maharashtra woman. I think that I pronounced right. I don't want to be offensive. But again, these people use it as an accessory. And to end my topic, I'm gonna talk about plastic surgery. This covers some things that I have mentioned. For example, going to get surgery to make your eyes look like Asians. I also try to get or tattooed to get more pigments. So yeah, basically the blackface. So yeah, this is a really big topic, but I just want to focus in something. So I think that the next one is Adrian, and I really want to know about his topic. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, my subtopic is art, more focused on how hard it's for an artist doing an artwork that tries to represent another culture. There have been a lot of examples about this, ones that can be a good example of this practice and others that not. For example, Banksy and the way he tried to approach the movement Black Lives Matter, doing an artwork with his signature expressing the situation at the moment. A lot of people thought about this like some kind of publicity, because it was at the right moment and it didn't have even describe rightly actually of the moment. And one example of a good representation about this could be the current news, that described the life of the author's father during World War II, using different types of animals to represent groups of people. For example, Jews were all misses and every German is portrayed as a cat. It was the first and only comic that has won the prize Pulitzer, because of the good historical representation. These examples can help us know the difference between a good representation and use of art to express certain events and topics. Being the principal difference between these two, the research of the problematic and the way to approach it.
Now, I am going to talk about religious appropriation, but there is something that I would like to clarify first, and it is religious borrowing. This is something that happens pretty often, and even we may practice it without noticing. Religious borrowing happens when individuals adopt religious practices without committing to religious doctrines, systems of authorities, or institutions. The clearest example of this is meditation. Meditation is a Buddhist practice that has its context and meaning for people who practice that religion. Some people take it as something normal and that we do in our daily life that doesn't represent anything but peace and thinking. And that is not bad. In some cases, these communities even welcome these attitudes because they may be a step towards conversion to the religion. In contrast, religious appropriation is a different type of borrowing that harms or offends beliefs. When people borrow religious practices, this can offend to who actually practice them, because they can be part of rituals or more things that can be considered more intimate for them. Even in some cases, there is lack of respect when symbols or special things for people who practice a religion are sold without consent and take advantage of it.
And well, some of the polemics that are caused, it affects to the non-dominant culture. For example, selling souvenirs that are of other culture that is non-dominant, but also it doesn't give any type of credit for their culture. Sorry, and this also affects by creating stereotypes, just like the Halloween costumes by dressing up like an Arab or a geisha, and or other type of culture, just like Mexicans with the big hats and everything, or just as simple as racist stereotypes. The major problem here is that when it exists violent or historical oppression, sometimes the news just spread lies of the culture, and that can really affect the way the culture may be seen by other countries, or by making like treatments or something. It can affect the way they see themselves, and to other cultures see that country by the stereotypes that we create by ourselves. Well, this is all for today. We hope you liked it, and yes, thank you for being here. Bye.